It's August 1st, 2019. And this is a commentary about social constructivism, intersectional ideology, postmodernism. Recently I was listening to a Dave Rubin vidcast about some new book that he's putting out, perhaps with regard to his recent, not as recent, but a lot of his interviews, perhaps. In any case, in Mr. Rubin's bubble, I think he lives in LA bubble, he claimed that conservatives are not concerned about so-called gay marriage. Less concerned, with the exception of the religious conservatives. Now, for the most part, Rubin leans heavily toward socially permissive libertarians, not social conservatives. He has very occasional social conservatives on, but mostly not. So one thing that he and most people should understand is that the concept of gay marriage and gay adoption, those abuses stem from socially constructivist postmodernism. Socially constructivist postmodernism. And socially constructivist postmodernism is a denialist ideology with regard to human nature, human evolution, and more importantly, what children need for their own best well-being, why sex exists in us, sexual traits, sexual dimorphism, feminism to some extent, and third wave feminism especially, denies sexual dimorphism. The Stonewall project, LGBTQPZetc, non-reproductive outlier, abusive outlier, people robbed of lives with children born en naturel, the way 1.2 billion years of evolutionary history has intended, and human nature. Those people deny human nature. Changing the word marriage so that it includes two women or two men hooking up is a socially constructivist postmodernism abuse. So, Mr. Rubin has had on his show Dr. Jordan Peterson, but Dr. Jordan Peterson is a bit of a milquetoast. Most of his approach, while valuable, is from the perspective of a somewhat standoffish and yet attempting to be caring psychologist. So it's useful to interpret Dr. Peterson's talks in the context of a psychologist talking to an individual in a counseling room. But those type of sessions are sometimes more syrupy and milquetoast, so as to help not get the person too upset. But if we're going to be honest about things, we need to be honest about how gay marriage isn't marriage. And marriage, which doesn't involve a man and a woman hooking up in an inherently reproductive relationship, isn't marriage. And sex only exists. A man and a woman hooking up in an inherently reproductive relationship is the only reasonable definition of marriage. It's the only reasonable definition of an accurate definition of a sexual relationship. Sex, by definition, exists or happens when two inherently reproductive animals engage in activities with their sexual organs which are directly, inherently reproductive. Directly, inherently reproductive. That's when sex happens. Other activities with one's sexual organs are either mutual or solitary wankery. All right? Now, mutual wankery within a man and wife couple could enhance pair bonding, thereby enhancing the safe and secure environment for the children produced naturally within that context. So, why does love exist? What is love? Love exists as a means, as a system, a mechanism of producing children. A structure. The same with marriage. So, the religious right, for evolutionary reasons, by default, reject the tenets of culturally Marxist, socially constructivist postmodernism, simply because they are living lives which are more natural. And the natural world is anathema, or the opposite of the ideology, the structure, the set of lies constructed by postmodernism. Okay? Can you all wrap your heads around that, Mr. Rubin and other classic liberals? Also Republicans who seem to have given up on the value of social conservatism, at least with regard to gay marriage. Or if you have given up, have you given up? Or do you realize that you're being sucked into denialisms with regard to postmodernism? So, that's the situation. That's the situation, okay? So, don't allow yourself to be sucked into the lies of the left, which will, for one reason or another, cause you to be robbed of your chance, your one speck of time in the sun to have a life, to have a wife or a husband, to have children born within that context, to use sex for what 1.2 billion years of evolution intended. 1.2 billion being the time sex has existed on this planet. Don't let them rob you of it. All the letters of Stonewall, the faggy flag, LGBTQPZ, all those letters will rob you of an inherently reproductive life, with children born into an environment that is best for them for evolutionary and natural human nature reasons. Feminism, especially third wave, and the Ponzi scheme of climate hysteria can also rob you of an inherently reproductive life, or a life that is enhanced by having more children around instead of less. More children, not less. Overpopulation is a myth. There's many myths And these myths are treated like de facto dogma, de facto religious tenets of the cultural left. If you question them, you'll be unpersoned online by the San Francisco leftist death cult run big tech monopolies. If you question them, you'll be socially ostracized from reactionary and booted from reactionary leftist atheist run groups. Those such groups are not interested in reason or logic or science. They're not interested in reason. They're not interested in reason, logic, or science. Leftist run atheist groups. They're interested in the replacement of one meme set with another. And with their new meme set, they circle around it just exactly the same way they circled around the traditional religion, which they rejected. Leftist atheists throw out the baby of evolved morality out with the bathwater of mysticism. So, all right. Getting some idea of the situation? Okay, that's your education for today.